Hey guys, welcome to Watched Film Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain an action thriller movie in 2023 named Teen Wolf the Movie. The movie starts with a couple serving their customers with food in a restaurant. The male is named Liam Dunbar and the female named Hikari. A man with a hood over his face comes to ask Hikari for a triskelion jar. The triskelion jar contains a very powerful fox trickster spirit named the Nojitsun. Hikari pretends to be dumb and Liam comes to talk with the man. The man threatens Liam, which prompts the customers to bring out their guns. The hooded man starts shooting and Hikari runs with the triskelion jar. The hooded man catches up to Hikari and shoots her. Her eyes glow, which shows that she is a kitsune, the opposite of a nojitsun. Liam roars and jumps into the sky. The hooded man shoots Liam down and makes a deal with the nojitsun to cause pain to Scott Mockle and the ones he loves. He sets the Nojitsun free and it promises the hooded man that he would cause pain, strife and suffering to Scott Mockle. The scene changes to a collapsed building with the experts having difficulty in saving a trapped victim because of her dog. A veterinarian named Deaton talks to the rescue team that he has someone that can control the dog and save the victim. Scott comes down from his car and goes into the place where the victim was. He jumps into the hole and the dog starts barking. Scott, who is the alpha of his werewolf pack, changes the color of his eyes, which causes the dog to calm down. The building almost collapses and he jumps out of it. He treats the dog in Deaton's clinic and gives it to the girl he saved. They leave and Deaton tells Scott to lock up and meet him outside. Scott hears someone knocking on the door and goes to check. He sees that it was Allison, his ex-girlfriend who had been dead for 15 years. The dogs start to bark and he tells them to keep quiet. He turns back and Allison vanishes. The dogs still bark and Scott sees Allison's father, Mr. Argent, in his shop. They both hug and Argent tells Scott that he had been seeing Allison's face wherever he goes. He also tells Scott and Deaton that he had been hearing the word bardo, meaning the state between life and death. They all propose that Allison never crossed from the physical world to the spiritual world when she died. And maybe she is stuck in between. Mr. Argent says that he has a ritual that will help bring back Allison. Here, we see Lydia, one of Scott's best friends, and also a banshee, talking about a business deal with some of her clients. They ask her about Allison, which shocks her. She sees the booklet she printed for them to have Allison's name written in all of them. She cancels all her appointments and goes to her office. She starts writing in the papers on her table. She finishes with her writing and the scene shifts to a kid named Eli. Eli is the son of Derek Hale, one of the good friends of Scott. He steals Styles' Jeep repaired by his father and goes away with it. It turns out that Styles is the son of the sheriff, Scott's best friend, and an FBI agent. It also turns out that Styles and Lydia were dating but broke up in the process. Eli drives the Jeep and passed by Deputy Parrish, a hellhound. Parrish calls the sheriff and his colleague named Mason, who is also Liam's best friend, to report the incident. Derek comes and the sheriff decides not to tell him about his son. They soon tell him and we see Eli with the truck on the road. The red light changes to green and he realizes that his tires had burst. He goes out to see that his father had bursted with his claws and had the sheriff with Deputy Parrish with him. Parrish goes to Derek's car repair shop with Styles' Jeep being towed. He gets inside and Malia, who is Scott's ex-girlfriend and Derek's cousin, jumps onto Parrish and they start to make out. Derek takes his son home and they talk about Eli not being able to transform into a werewolf. It turns out that Eli passes out every time his claws come out. Eli goes to his room and Derek follows. He talks to Eli about practicing lacrosse with him. He gets no response and opens Eli's door to see that he had left out through the window. Malia helps Parrish to dress up after he opens a new uniform. She gets a text from Lydia asking to meet. Deaton goes to Argent's place to have a chat with him. Deaton was suspicious of Argent that he had been possessed by the Nojitsun. The Nojitsun likes riddles, so Deaton starts to ask Argent some. Argent answers all and gets furious, leading into a fight. Deaton pours mountain ash into the mouth of Argent and he chokes. The Nojitsun, in the form of a firefly, comes out of Argent's mouth. Scott goes to the place Allison died to get a sample of the sand for the ritual. Lydia meets him there and he punches the ground, taking out some soil. They both go to Argent's house and Lydia brings the drawings she made in her office. They try to figure it out but find it difficult. Jackson, a friend and teammate of Scott, comes and sees the drawings as a game. He starts to join the pieces together and it forms a tree. The tree is called the Nemeton and it has links to all supernatural beings. Scott and Lydia meet with Malia and they go in search of the Nemeton. They get lost on the way and Scott catches Eli following them. Eli leads them to the Nemeton and leaves. They present the sword that killed Allison and the soil they took from the ground she died. The tree takes the soil and swallows the sword. Just when they thought nothing happened, a light illuminated from the tree forming Allison's body. They take her to the hospital and Scott's mom is shocked to see Allison. It turns out that, what happened was the plan of the Nojitsun. The way to the other world has been opened by Scott, so the Nojitsun uses this opportunity to revive its body. Allison wakes up in the hospital and dresses up. She tries to escape but Malia finds her. Allison beats up Malia and some cops to get away. She meets Scott and asks for Derek Hale as the alpha from Scott. She tries to kill Scott and meets her father. She runs and hides in a tunnel when the Nojitsun comes to her. The Nojitsun manipulates Allison into killing Scott and she leaves. Derek talks to the coach to allow his son, Eli, play in the game. The sheriff comes to scare Eli not to take the jeep again. Eli plays for 1 minute and breaks his ankle. He cannot heal because he is afraid to change. Derek senses someone with him and barely saves his son from Allison's arrow. Derek fights with her and realizes that she is Allison. He lets his guard down and Allison shoots his neck with an arrow covered in wolf's bane, the weakness of all werewolves. He lies on the floor as he struggles to breathe. Allison shoots another and Liam, the beta of Scott, comes to catch the arrow. Allison shoots again and this time, Hikari, the Firefox Kitsune, comes to save Derek. Allison escapes and Scott comes to cover Derek's cut on his neck. The sheriff gets a call about a bushfire for the third time and goes with his deputies, leaving one person behind. The Nojitsun appears in a cell in the sheriff's department. The deputy at the station goes to the cell and talks to the Nojitsun. The Nojitsun pulls the deputy to the cell and takes out the foxfire in him. It turns out that, the deputy was a Kitsune and didn't know about it. The Nojitsun kills the deputy and takes the fox's tails, which can summon the samurai soldiers called the Onai. Jackson and Lydia arrive to see the head of the deputy twisted backward. This ends the part 1 of the movie Teen Wolf, the movie. Subscribe and like this video and I will upload the part 2 very soon.